Hi everyone and welcome to part 11 of my WitchWood card reviews. Today I've got 5 new cards to show you, so I'll get started right away with this mage card. It's an epic mage minion called Arcane Keysmith. It costs 4 mana, 2 attack and 2 health, and it has the battle cry of Discover a Secret, so you get to pick from 3 that come up and put it into the battlefield. Now this is a very interesting card and one which can be quite strong for mage. The stats are weak on the minion. Let's say it's roughly around 2 mana worth of stats on a minion, but probably worth saying that it would be a weak 2 mana minion. Mage Secrets are worth 3 mana, so that already adds up to 5. You're also playing this card, so you're getting a card draw and it's being played into the battlefield. So I think it's well costed at 4, but to be honest, I think if it was costed 5 mana, I just don't think it would be played. It would just be too slow. But for 4 mana, this can see some spots in some mage decks. So Secret Mage is taking a bit of a hit now. It was really strong in the last expansion, but they are losing Medivh's Valet and Firelands Portal, which are 2 cards which really cause that burst damage that they need. So that deck might struggle in this new meta. I think if Secret Mage does find a place, then Arcane Keysmith will go into it. It's not hugely powerful though, because you're discovering a secret, so you're not always going to get the one you want. And it's better if it drew one from your deck and played it, because then you get to put the specific secrets that you want into the deck. And then because it's out of your deck is thinner, and then you can get to other cards quicker. So I'm not sure it will see too much play because of that. But it does have an extra opportunity in these new decks where mages don't want to play spells. So with the 2 new cards that we saw revealed, Book of Spectres, for example, you can then play spells without actually having to have spells in your deck. So Arcane Keysmith is another way to do that, and it's a minion, so it does combo well with the Book of Spectres. So I think this is a cool card. Maybe if we see some really strong, more powerful mage secrets go into their pool, it might get better, because they're also losing Ice Block at the moment. But we'll have to see. I'm not too sure it will see too much play, although I think it is well statted and does have a good effect. Next up we have a rare neutral minion called WitchWood Piper. It costs 4 mana, has 3/3 in stats, so a bit low, but the battle cry is draw the lowest cost minion in your deck. I like this card. It has to go into a specific deck though, I think. Let's just say you were playing it in a normal deck, then you will always draw your 1-drop unless you've already played them and had them in your hand. So that in itself for 4 mana isn't too bad. 4 mana 3/3 and draw a card, but it is quite slow, and that card that you're drawing would only be a 1-drop and isn't very powerful. But this to me is a combo card that you can put in some really cool decks and a really cool kind of deck building mechanic. If you're wanting to pull out a strong minion, not playing 1-drops, not playing 2-drops, and not playing 3-drops would mean usually that you're too far behind. I think some classes can deal with it. Maybe Rogue can, for example, with their hero power and also their lower cost removal spells. So that's why it's going to be quite difficult to actually get a strong minion out of this deck. But some good uses of it would be to get your Cold Light Oracle in Rogue, for example, or in Quest Mage to get your Sorcerer's Apprentice. But Quest Mage is losing Ice Block, and Kingsbane Rogue is losing the Cold Light Oracle. So those 2 cards don't work, but those are good examples. Keleseth is another good example. The problem is if you did do that, you would be drawing, and you played this on turn 4 at the earliest, you would not be able to play Keleseth until turn 5. So it's a little bit slower, but still, I think in a lot of Keleseth decks, it's worth it if you can play it by turn 5. I think it's still worth doing it. So that could be a strong way to get Prince Keleseth out. So I think if you just put this in any deck, it could be okay. 4 mana 3/3 and draw a card is reasonable. Not great, but it could see play. But where it will really be strong is in combo decks. So I'm really excited to see what we can come up with those combos, because those sort of decks are really fun to play. They may not necessarily be the strongest, but it's still fun to try and make them work. Next up we have a neutral druid minion called Druid At The Side. It costs 3 mana, has 2 attack and 2 health, and it does have to choose one effect. So you can either transform it into a 4/2 with Rush or a 2/4 with Taunt. Now neither of those 2 transformations are particularly special for the 3 mana cost, but the flexibility of the card makes it one which I think could see some play. I don't think this is incredible, and I don't think it's terrible. I think it's kind of a roughly average card, which could be played. And in Hearthstone, that flexibility can be really strong because you never know which deck you're going to be playing against, and you never know which minions that you're going to draw and what they're going to draw and how the game's going to start. So if your opponent's had a really particularly strong start and there's one troublesome minion you need to get rid of, then you've got a 3 mana 2/4. So 3 mana deal 4 damage to a minion is pretty good. It can't bypass taunts though. That is a problem, and something that maybe doing 4 damage with a swipe is obviously better because you can select which minion you want to attack. But still, I think 3 mana to do 4 damage to an enemy minion is quite strong. And then having the flexibility of being able to make it into a 2/4 taunt, perhaps if you've got a bit more control of the board, or if you're playing against a deck like Silverhand Paladin, for example, who've got some lower cost minions, your 2/4 with taunt could end up killing maybe 2 of his minions. So it's quite a good one that I think. I quite like these flexibility cards in Druid. They don't always get see play, but I think in decks where you're going to need that kind of flexibility, I think it works quite well. Next up, we have another Druid minion. This one's rare. It's called Bewitched Guardian. It costs 5 mana, has 4 attack and 1 health. It has taunt, but it also has a battle cry of gain +1 health for each card in your hand. So this is basically a Twilight Drake, exactly the same, but it costs 1 more mana, and that 1 extra mana is giving you taunt. So that's an interesting conversation as to whether you'd want to play Bewitched Guardian or just end up playing a Twilight Drake, or both. Maybe you could play both. Interestingly though, this works well with WitchWood Apple. It looks like Blizzard's trying to push a new type of deck for Druid, which is kind of like a hand Druid deck. They're losing Jades, so they really do need something different, otherwise Druid might just disappear from the meta. So I think this is quite interesting. If you did play it with WitchWood Apple and you managed to play WitchWood Apple first, maybe you could make this a 4/7, 4/8 with taunt, and that's pretty good for 5 mana. It's not too bad, and the taunt can help you to survive for other cards that you want to use. Twilight Drake works well in because it's a neutral minion. Twilight Drake, that works well in Warlock, for example, because they can use the hero power to draw more cards. Druid can't, but they do have lots of strong card draw cards, such as Ultimate Infestation, for example. So if you drew this off of an Ultimate Infestation, you might be able to play it the next turn and get some really strong value out of the health on the taunt. Also, they have Nourish, and then Branching Paths as well. You can draw cards, so they really don't struggle with card draw too much either. So I think Bewitched Guardian might be something that can see some play. So Bewitched Guardian is an interesting card, and it leads on to this next one for Druid. 3 mana spell called Ferocious Howl. It's common, and it draws a card, and then you gain 1 armor for each other card that you have in your hand. So this is essentially a shield block for Druid, and it gives you quite a strong, because you can put 2 of these in your deck, it gives you a strong potential to gain a lot of armor in Druid. It's a way to activate their Spellstone, which is a really powerful removal tool because it only costs 1 mana. And I don't think it would be very difficult for Druid to get some good value off of this. So often, if you've played Ultimate Infestation, for example, you're going to be getting maybe 9 armor from this card. You could get it like Nourish, Branching Paths, etc. There's lots of ways for Druid to draw cards. So this is not one that I think is going to be hard to activate. The question is, are you going to want that armor? And are you going to want to put this card in place of something else to get that armor? I'm not so sure. I think Druid's got enough ways to gain armor. Like Branching Paths, you can gain a significant amount of armor by putting 2 of those in your deck. You can, with Malfurion, the hero power, you can gain a lot of armor over a few turns with that. So I think it might go in a specific deck, but I'm not so sure you would want to cut out 2 other cards to put 2 of these into it. I'm thinking about a Hadronox Druid deck. This could go quite nicely into that deck because often you get quite a big hand because you're just waiting to draw your Hadronox. And also playing the Ferocious Howl could help you to survive until you do draw that Hadronox and get that combo going with the cubes. Not sure whether it's good enough though. I don't think you want to use this along with Branching Paths because of the flexibility of Branching Paths. So I don't think you would want to put both in. So I think if you were going to run Ferocious Howl, I think you would just run a Branching Paths instead. One is an epic card and one is a common card, so it does give opportunities to free-to-play players, for example, to play that. But we'll see, maybe there'll be something special that this can go into. Okay everyone, thank you very much for watching the video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.